in this lesson, I want to talk about how we brainstorm creative concepts. It's really important to kind of do this exercise. And what I want to do is actually give you some ideas for you to actually be able to do this. A lot of times when people say brainstorming, it's kind of like, well, how do I do that? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to give you an ideas of how to actually brainstorm. So step one, you want to start with your hook. We always, like I mentioned before, we kind of start at the top with the hook. The hook, what I mean by hook, right? The first 5 seconds primarily, because that's what people got to skip, right? But really a hook is really 5 to 10 seconds in my opinion. But it's really about how do I get the people that I want to see my ad, right? Because we talked about doing the market research so that who are we talking to and what are we saying to them, right? So now we're saying to them in the first 5 seconds, we want to communicate something to keep them paying attention to what we're saying. So that's really what your hook is. And there's a lot of ways to do that. So a couple ways that we kind of go to that I think will be really helpful is number one, the word how to. There's a study with YouTube that, like 70% of all YouTube searches start with how to. So more than likely, most people are already on YouTube watching videos about how to do something. So really a really easy hook that kind of fits with the platform is being able to start your hook with how to insert whatever outcome or whatever that you want your audience to accomplish. So that's a real easy way to brainstorm. I mean, technically you can even go to other channels from your research and see the popular videos that has been connecting with that audience already. And you can kind of borrow from those videos, the titles of those videos also can be really good hooks. So that's a really easy, win, like kind of layup right there when you want to do that. The other one is, I just kind of alluded to making an outcome statement, like your core problem that you're going to figure out in the market research part. You're basically, once you know the core problem and you know that you have the solution to solving that problem, then an outcome statement is just basically showing someone a future version of themselves or some outcome in the future where they're not having this problem anymore. And that's basically what you're going to say in those first 5 to 10 seconds. So you're just brainstorming on that. Really, really, really great way to brainstorm a lot of ideas. And then another one, which is a huge go-to, is if you have a lot of testimonials and product reviews and things like that, what are your customers saying that, that you think is amazing or have proven that has helped people make a purchasing decision with your business? Take from those and those becomes your hooks, because if your customers are saying this really amazing thing, someone who isn't a customer might find a lot of value in that. Typically they do find a lot of value in that, and that can become a hook. So go and look at your product reviews and your testimonials and see what you can use from those that you can put right up front, basically social proof right at the beginning of other people bragging on you so that you don't have to do it for yourself.
Hi, I'm Drew Canoli, and here are the 5 powerhouse superfoods that all women, including you, need to start eating right away if you want to get healthy and lose that bit of stubborn weight fast.
So in this example, what you'll see is basically at the very beginning in the first 10 or 11 seconds. What's so great about this hook is, number one, calling out your target audience, and then really keying in on how they can do something that's really important to them, which in this instance is, lose that stubborn belly fat and do it fast, right? Because that's what people want. They want a shortcut. So because market research, we understand that we can kind of bake all of that in right in that very beginning, like those first 10 seconds, to make a really powerful hook.
Today I'm going to show you 6 herbs that boost your metabolism, and you can put them, all of them, in one delicious drink that takes 10 seconds. Yes, there's an all-natural, organic superfood herbs that you can find in your own market or your grocery store.
So in this example, you can see where we're calling out a specific issue metabolism. A lot of people have been to their doctors and they know like they have an issue with their metabolism. So we're kind of calling out right at the beginning that issue and basically saying, here's how we're going to help you overcome that. That's basically why this is a really strong hook. It's a whole swipe file full of successful videos that if you study the first 5-10 seconds of them, you'll understand like why, if you understand now what a hook is, now you'll start being able to see why that video is probably successful. So the key with the hook when it comes to YouTube, people are hovering over the skip button. Like that's the behavior that you're up against versus on Facebook, people are scrolling, right? Now, here's another thing about hooks that, because I'm glad we're having this dialogue in the background, that sometimes you want people to skip your ad because you want to disqualify the wrong people. Like you don't want to create a hook that's going to bait everyone in who isn't even in the mindset of what it is that you have to offer. So part of that is really about speaking to specifically to the people that you want. So we're going to put a few more examples on screen of hooks that have done very well. So you want to check those out here.
Hey, my name is Russell Brunson, and this copy of Expert Secrets is literally on fire. If you want to learn how to take your voice, take your message, and change people's lives with it, and get paid in the process, get your free copy of the Expert Secrets book right now.
This is an ad for a project management tool called Monday.com. This is what it looks like, and this is what it feels like. So the tool works like this.
Halitophobia, the irrational fear of bad breath. I'm a halitophobic. I'm not so much afraid of me having bad breath, I'm afraid of other people having bad breath.
This is where your ice cream comes from. The creamy poop of a mystic unicorn. Totally clean, totally cool, and soft served straight from a sphincter. They're good at pooping. But you know who sucks at pooping? You do. That's because when you sit on a porcelain throne, this muscle puts a kink in the hose and stops the Ben & Jerry's from sliding out smoothly. Is that a problem? I don't know. Are hemorrhoids a problem?
Okay, so now that we got the hook part out of the way, you got some great ideas on how you brainstorm those. The next phase is the message, which is the other kind of, second core part of the three key elements of a high converting video ad creative. And basically your message is really just a conversation that you want to have with the prospects that's relevant to what it is that you offer. And there's a lot of ways to do that. And how long your message should be and how short your message should be really is dependent on how much you're asking. People ask me all the time, how long should my video be? And most of the time my answer is as long as it needs to be. But a better way to explain that is more in terms of the more you're asking from a prospect, the more conversation you need to have. The less that you're asking the prospect to do, then the less conversation that you need to have with them to get them to take the action that you want. So here's a couple ways that we come up with them. So how you can actually brainstorm messages, ideas. I'm going to walk through a couple of examples so that it'll be really easy for you to kind of sit down and use these and come up with really good ideas around how you develop your message. So first one that we use is like super easy. If you already have results that you've been able to help other people achieve using what you're selling, that's a really easy one where you basically, it's almost like taking someone else, making them the spotlight and the hero, and just really being able to share their message of how they were able to achieve their success. Because basically what you're doing is, how can I show people another version of themselves through someone else's success? And that's a really easy one. That's like a super, super simple one. Another example would be, weird situations or outcomes that you can help them recreate. This one isn't always the easiest one, but it's like if you really think about like, what are the outliers, right? Like what are the outlying things that have happened that, people might find fascinating or weird or unlikely or what have you. these can become really great messages because, as long as you can back up whatever you're saying about these things, like these are really good opportunities to kind of really, teachable moments even, right? When you kind of take these outlying things and you kind of use them as a message to be able to, bring people in, because people really love stuff like that. They love stories. They love like weird, unassuming types of things. And so sometimes you just got to dig a little bit deeper on this one and think, but it's food for thought for you to really kind of think about. Another big one that we use, again, we talk a lot about story. And when it comes to message, is like, if you can key in on like a turning point, for example, myself, like a big turning point for me, and I'm probably weird that I'm about to say this on camera, but I talk about this a lot. In 2007, I had congestive heart failure, right? So the turning point for me was before that, and then that happened, and then after that. And really after that is how I'm even standing, sitting here today speaking to you, because my life completely changed. So I had to find a whole new lane for me. And that's basically what that story is about. I use that a lot in terms of speaking about my own turning point. And if you can identify those types of situations, whether it be yourself, whether it be your prospect, or your customers, they become really powerful stories that really people connect with a lot, So, and then the other one, again, this is kind of a nod back even to the hook where you talk about testimonials and product reviews. A lot of times people can write like really crazy reviews where they kind of just hit on all of the points. And you probably have some of that. If you've been doing enough business, you probably have some of that stuff. You want to go and grab those and be able to use those to be able to deliver a really solid and strong message. I'm not trying to get you to, like, the whole point of the brainstorming is to get the easy wins. Obviously, there's a lot more into building a story, building a message, but, there's a skill that's associated with that as well. So a lot of these things that I'm communicating to you guys are, basically like we've developed these skills over time. Right now, I'm trying to give you the shortcut with the brainstorm, because when we get into how to build a message out, you might not even need to worry about that. You might can just take a couple of these easy wins and you go and run with that. It's not about trying to be a pro at this. It's about giving you ideas so that you can actually go create something and get something into the market and get to testing. Because until you get data, none of this stuff is going to matter at the end of the day. And you shouldn't go trying to do too much. You want to get some ideas and see if you can get your message to connect before you start building the other blocks on top of it. Okay, so we did hook, we did message. The last key element is your call to action. This is basically you're telling them what to do, you showing them what to do. That's really what your call to action is. You have to ask, or you have to tell people what to do, or they're not going to do anything. That's just reality. That's human psychology 101, right? So tell them what to do, show them what to do. And what I mean by that is, be literal in terms of click the link near this video, that type of thing, right? Because you got to understand, if you stand outside of the platform and you evaluating the ad for yourself, just put yourselves in their shoes. If you're telling them what to do and you're showing them what to do, if you're pointing, you got to be careful with the arrows. Some people kind of get cheesy with it or whatever the case may be, but you do want to kind of direct people's eyes in the direction of the area on the video where they need to click, which on a mobile device is going to be below the video. On a desktop, it's going to be in the lower left corner for them. So you can kind of direct them in that direction and not go too crazy with the arrows, because it kind of comes off as spammy, I think now. But that's basically what you want to do. And really in your call to action, you're really building the value of what's in it for them, or reminding them what's in it for them, because you should be hitting on that in your message, which again, we talked about, but that's really what it is at the end of the day. And sometimes at these points, depending on how much message that we need, we might communicate the guarantee that we're making, especially if it's something, we want them to, spend money. But the core of it at the end of the day is, like I said, tell them what to do, show them what to do, be very literal, because if you don't do that, people are going to be people. They're going to get distracted by something. And if you have their attention, you want to go ahead and make them do the thing that you want them to do. So your action items now is go ahead and follow the brainstorming process. You want to write down at least 3 different ad concepts. Obviously, you want to write down, the hook, message, call to action. Make sure that you have these 3 key components. You can always go back and mix and match them, which we'll talk about later, why that would be valuable, but make sure you have those 3 key parts. Take those brainstorming lessons that I just shared with you and actually go do your own brainstorming.